And staying with the neighborhood, it was a violent weekend in Bangladesh. Around 100,000 opposition protesters hit the streets of Dhaka. They shouted slogans, they set things on fire, and they clashed with the police. Take a look. Let's understand the issue here. Who are these protesters? What did they want? And what is the current situation in Bangladesh? Most of the protesters belong to the BNP, that's the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. It is the main opposition party of the country, the BNP. They were joined by members of the Jamaat-e-Islami. It's an Islamist group. It's also a major red flag. The Jamaat has been linked to radicalism in the Indian subcontinent. They're a banned party. They're banned as a party in Bangladesh. Now, what did these protesters want? They wanted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to resign, to appoint a caretaker government. And why is that? Because elections are coming up in Bangladesh. The country's general elections, they're slated for January 2024. The opposition says Sheikh Hasina will rig it. So they want her to resign, to let a caretaker government oversee the election. But the Prime Minister has not agreed. We'll explain what the Bangladesh law says in a bit, but first let me tell you about how the weekend panned out. Around 10,000 cops were deployed in Dhaka. They fired tear gas and rubber bullets. A violent clash followed. At least 3 people lost their lives, more than 100 were injured. And since then, Dhaka cops have been rounding up top leaders, like Mirza Islam Alamgir. He's the chief of the BNP, the opposition party, and he's been leading this party since Khalida Zia's house arrest. Zia, as you would know, is a former prime minister. She's been convicted of corruption. Her supporters want her to pull a Nawaz Sharif, to leave the country for medical reasons. But so far, the government has not agreed to this. So that's the ground situation. Many injured, leaders behind bars, and a nervous calm after a major crackdown. Now we come to the politics. Is there any threat to Sheikh Hasina's rule? Her tenure has brought economic growth to Bangladesh. Poverty has reduced, jobs have been created, and Bangladesh is now the world's garment capital. But there are problems too. Recently, inflation has started increasing. Food prices were up 12% in August. It's the highest in almost 12 years. Plus, there are accusations of extrajudicial actions, like enforced disappearances and crackdowns on free speech. But will they be enough to oust Sheikh Hasina? The opposition says yes, but only if elections are held under a caretaker government. Which brings us to the law. Does Bangladeshi law require a caretaker government? No, it doesn't. The Supreme Court of Bangladesh has called it unconstitutional. Their parliament has removed it from the country's rule book. And why is that? Because it did not work. The caretaker provision was introduced in the 1990s. The last caretaker government took charge in the year 2006. It should have stepped down after 90 days. It did not. It ended up ruling until 2008. This caretaker government jailed politicians, including Sheikh Hasina and Khalida Zia. So there was good reason to end it. Having said that, there is criticism about the current setup. For example, the European Union has taken issue. They usually send a full team of election observers to Dhaka, but not this time. This time, Brussels says necessary conditions are not in place. And what about India? New Delhi has clarified its position. They did it earlier this year. They pointed to Bangladesh's constitution.
I don't have really any particular comment on internal developments there. On the issue of caretaker government, the constitution has a position on it, and we haven't really commented on that. I don't have anything for you on that specifically. I wouldn't like to get into speculation of third parties, military interventions. Certainly those are speculative. And we would hope the elections are held peacefully as they are being scheduled.
It's no secret that India likes doing business with Sheikh Hasina. Her vision aligns with that of New Delhi, peaceful and cooperative. Whether that continues or not depends on the elections next year. It promises to be a crucial one for Bangladesh and the neighborhood.